I love the fact that Coach Rhule went back and because we talk about his press conferences all the time, and we dissect this thing every which way but loose, and I thought he was pretty intentional, right? He's talking about the offensive line and camp battles, and he mentioned Gatula and Teddy P, and then he came back and he got Pritchette, right? And he talked
Hmm.
in the same sequence of how camp is still wide open, how he views it, 10 days versus 2 weeks, and having a job. Because I think this is arguably the most difficult week of pre preparation. You're out of camp. You have to gauge whether you can really make a move on the depth chart. You're going to have specific kind of reps. Is it wide open? Is it not? If I'm an incumbent, what do it's hard because you're still a week out from real game prep. He clearly was talking to Pritchett, though, and I liked the way he utilized other teammates loving on him, too, about the day-to-day, right? I felt like there was a lot in that little snippet.
Yeah, there was. Obviously, a lot is expected of Pritchett. He is uh, supremely talented. If you watch practice and you just kind of watch him for a few minutes, just you're like that lineman looks a little different than everybody else on that bunch. I mean, Turner Corcoran looks good. Turner's been hurt a lot though, but Pritchett looks different. And so that there's a lot of potential there, and you can tell that he moves in a certain way, and he's got potential, and now it just has to come all the way together. I think to play for Matt Rhule, I think Matt Rhule likes guys that have passion and heart and all those things. And you're allowed to be Corey Barney and say what you want to say and be really confident and all that. Matt Rhule doesn't shy away from that. You just got to be a guy that does all the things that Rhule wants. And I just got done writing a story. It'll show up this week or maybe Sunday on just all the little details that Matt Rhule goes over. He calls himself deliberate, and he's really intentional. And so you have to get with that level of intentionality. And if you can't, then like he mentioned it on Saturday, he's like, I don't want a guy here that tells me, and he wasn't talking about Pritchett, a guy that doesn't want to check in for dinner. There's guys that are like, why do I got to come back for dinner when I was here for breakfast and lunch? It's actually a reasonable question. It's not like a villainous idea. Like, the guy's put in his time. He wants to go home and chill and do what he wants to do, and he's got to come back 2.5 hours later to eat in the cafeteria. Maybe he doesn't want to, but that's what Rhule wants. And it doesn't mean that guy can't go somewhere and be a good football player, because not every program is going to ask him to eat all 3 meals in the nutrition room. But that's what Rhule wants, and that's what he believes in.
Is showing up for breakfast mandatory? Is it optional? Is it involuntary with air quotes? Is it what everybody else is doing? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's real life stuff.
It is. And so I think there's aspects of the way that Rhule does things they're very specific, and they're not for everybody. And it does not mean that a guy couldn't go be a good player somewhere else. There might be a program that suits his his setup better than Rhule's does. And that's there's nothing wrong with that. That's the thing that I guess he's just a really intentional guy, and you gotta be about what Rhule's about.
Yeah, I actually like it because I think not only is it authentic, it's consistent. It sets you don't have to remember what you said. You don't have to change if you're a winning program versus a developing program. That's why I like the way he recruits philosophy. I like the way that they utilize NIL. Everything is earned, man. As long as everybody knows that, it builds common language, which in turn builds accountability, and you always have a chance. You're never out of it either. It doesn't have to be used as a negative. Like, you can look and say, okay, if I can do these things, then I at least give myself the opportunity, versus, well, I can't, so I have no chance. Right? You can look at it with your glass half full too.
That's right. Yeah, what Matt Rhule provides to every student athlete is great clarity. And I like clarity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like knowing where I stand.
Yeah, me too.
Not everybody does. Some
Man,
people
I
like
do.
to be in sort of an ambiguous space and kind of like, hey, if I don't need you to tell me all the time how I'm doing. I don't need a status check all the time. Just let me know if I do something really well or really poorly. But I don't think that's the way Rhule is. I will say, and here I will say this. You get into year 7 and year 8 and year 9 of your program, what you hope is that you can gear some of that stuff back and the players understand it so well that you don't have to push that too much. And like, there does come a second, like, and he's never really gotten to this, that second era, that second iteration of his tenure where he's, into year 7 and year 8. And I do think that the approach probably changes a little bit, not entirely, but a little bit. Like, he's so used to resetting cultures that it will be really interesting, in 28 and 29, if he sticks around. I think he will. I think he wants to. What that's going to look like versus, okay, I'm going to a place where they don't have any confidence or any culture, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to reset the thing, and then I'm going to leave in 3 years. I'm not saying that he's leaving. He's leaving for different jobs, which I understand. But that'll be intriguing to watch because it is different when you're at a program for a decade period of time. Like, for example, PJ Fleck has mellowed. He has, and he's in that in good ways. Like, he's a culture guy too, and he's mellowed out a little bit. Like, he had to. He had to mellow out a little bit because it was a little much. And that's what happens when you get into your second, 5 years at a job, which he is now in.
Sam, I know we got to let you go here. I just want to ask a real quick question. Is there anything you feel differently about now that the camp portion of fall is over than you did when we started?
Yeah, I think I don't know that I feel any differently. It's a good question. I don't know that I feel terribly differently. I do think they're going to run the ball more than maybe I thought, and I think they're going to run the ball well. I have long believed that people need to be patient with that punter, and they need to be patient with special teams. And Eckler kind of set the expectation when he said, when we look up at the end of the year.
Right.
And I thought that was a nice sentence. And I'll tell you what, 15 years ago, I don't know if Eckler had that.
See, I was so mad that people took the little snippets and ran with it. I was like, but he built in what he really wanted you to know.
Right.
It's
exactly.
a marathon.
So, I appreciated that. Yes. So I think the idea that they're going to be great every game is not. He is going to build a culture, and that's actually going to take a while. The goal is to be better this year, and I think the goal is to be great, sure. But I think the goal is to be, like, better, and then this thing will really catch fire as he's there longer and guys do the things that he wants them to do. But he used the long game, and, like, again, 15 years ago, I don't know if that sentence comes. It's just the fire. But now he's able to control that fire a little bit, and I think that represents. I mean, he's older than me, so who am I to judge? But that represents a growth there, because I really mean that. Like, I think the reason he's such a darn good coach now is because he's been able to take that little extra piece and guide it along a little bit, and I think that's going to help their program a lot.
That's our guy, Sam McKewon, Omaha World Herald. Sam, appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, take care.
Thanks, Sam.